that data sheet you have in front of you so that we can go over the exam. You can see which ones you missed. I know some of you didn't do so well. What I was going to do is, like, to help you out, is tomorrow, I do need to do a lesson tomorrow. But, like, tomorrow, I can offer you, while we're doing the lesson, some of you can do a quizzes that I put a test in there. Like, the quizzes is the retest. And so you can kind of go through and retake it again. But I want to go over it because if I don't go over it, you're not going to know how to, like, do better on the second time around. So if you didn't do so well the first time, tomorrow is your opportunity to retest. But again, we need to go over it to make sure that you know how to do each problem. And that way you can see what you did wrong. On the data sheet, this is a good way to kind of see also, like, where you were kind of lacking. Like, what area was it domain and range? So that way you kind of know also what you studied. You know, if you didn't do so well on domain and range, then study domain and range. If you didn't do so well on linear equations, then maybe you need to study that. So let's go ahead and go through each question. I'm going to start with number 1. So if you look at number 1, basically, they wanted to just pick a table that matched. It says in the diagram, below, what is the relationship between the number of rectangles and the perimeter? So what does perimeter mean to you guys? Very good. And yet, I know for a fact that some of you did not add all of the sides again. For some reason, and maybe you need to start putting the word perimeter. Do it right now. Like, go ahead and let's write perimeter, and let's put add all sides. And make it nice and big, underline all, because even though you know what it means, I still have students who will add the only 2 numbers they'll add are these 2. Are those all the sides to the rectangle? How many sides does a rectangle have? 4. You've only added 2. You see what I'm saying? And so some of you may have picked C, because that's all you did. You have to go all the way around it. And so it would have been another 8 and another 5, which is 26. And so now you would have been down to these 2. Like, this is out. This is 1 is 52. This was 1 is 13. That's out. The only 2 that say 126 are C, or B and D. So now you have to go and add all the way around, and only around the outside, not on the inside. I think some of you even did that. No, you need to go around it. Like if you were going to put a border around it or a fencing around like this area here. And that would have been 36. And that was B. This one's out. This one, if you pick D, that means you added another 8. And you got 44. So the answer was B for that one. So make sure you circle B, but make sure you understand what perimeter is. Like that's super important. On your retest, you'll have another question on perimeter again. Different question, but very similar. Yes, on your data sheet, so let's look for number 1. Right here. Number 1 is right there. What you can do is literally just put a little check mark. And you're keeping track of like what you got right and wrong. If you got it wrong, put a little X. Okay? So now let's go ahead and look at the second question. This is question 2. It says using the diagram from question 1. Now you got to use question 1 again, use the diagram, and it says what is the equation that represents the relationship between number of rectangles and perimeter. So now they want the equation. You know the table, now you got to pick the right equation. And again, here, and this is what you can put in your notes, please make sure you're writing these down. All you have to do is graph Control T. That's it. It was one of those questions where they give you the equations, all you want to do is like literally graph it, and then do a Control T. And so graph Control T. And this is acting up a lot. So which one of those do you think you got it right? Which one is it? I think it was C, right? Because, again, if you go back to the table, if it's C, let's see what table it was. It was this table right here. We're looking for an equation that will give us that table right there. So let's see if it's seen. I want to say that I remember it being seen. All you had to do is graph it. So right here, 10x plus 16. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. Control C. No, I'm right. Right, 1 is 26, 2 is 36, the third rectangle was 46. So yeah, the correct answer was C. Okay. But again, look how easy it was. Now, if you missed 1, guys, you automatically are going to miss 2 because you're going to be using the wrong table. That's what happened there. If you missed 1, you missed 2 as well. Let's look at number 3. Michael, can you read number 3 for us, please?
Car service charges pay $110 set up fee plus deduct for each guest and attendance. Enter the following functions as fixed the total cost of using the party service.
So here you're just writing an equation from words. Remember there was a whole lesson on that where I gave you a bunch of words that mean add, subtract, multiply, divide, and we would practice like setting up equations. And literally, you just need to, like, abbreviate everything. Like, 110 is 110. Plus, you would abbreviate to a plus sign. 3, the number 3, okay, just keep it as a 3. But when it says each guess, that's multiplication. And they want us to use a G to abbreviate, so 3G. Now, if you look at your answers, this one right here is the closest to that. All they did different was they switched them. And sometimes they will do that when it's a plus. They'll actually switch it on you. And it's okay. It's still going to give you the same thing. So the correct answer there was A. Okay. You could have eliminated D because D had a minus. Like right off the bat, you really need to look at your answers and eliminate answers that don't make sense. Alright, so let's look at number 4. Number 4 says identify the linear equation for the graph below. And so if you look at these graphs here and you look at the equations, again, you need to just graph them. You have a calculator that will graph for you. So like literally this should have been super easy. Just use your calculator to graph and then compare. Now I had students, please watch the screen, I had students say, you know what, miss, I didn't even have to graph it. This is how I did it. What they did was they looked at this line, they noticed 1 is going down. So that's a negative slope. So they knew that this number right here should be a negative. So they eliminated A. Okay, that's negative, that's negative, that's negative. Then they said what they did was they looked at the y-intercept. Where does the line cross the y? At 1, 2, 3. So that's your B. That's the second number, Michael. You watching? This is your B right here. So look, that's not a 3. That's a -4. That's a 3. And they were able to find the answer just by doing that. Okay. So good. And again, you could have just graphed it. If you don't know how to do that, like that's what that student did. You just need to graph it. If you would have graphed that equation, you would have seen the picture matches. Okay. Let's look at number 5. It says write an equation for the relationship between the values in the table. Here's your table, here's your graph. Guys, super easy. Again, take those equations, graph them, and then do a Control T. Super duper easy. This calculator gives you have the answers in right at your fingertips. So here the answer was what? Was it double the x plus 4? Okay, double that. 0 plus 4, yep, double this, 4 plus 4, yep, the answer was B. And again, graph Control T. What I'm doing, I'm not even using the calculator, what I'm doing is I'm looking at this and it's telling me double the x plus 4. So in my mind, I was doubling this plus 4. I was doubling this number plus 4, and it should be giving me these answers over here. You double the 2, and you add 4, you're going to get 8. You double the 6, and you add 4, it's going to give you 6. That's what I was doing. So I wasn't even using graph Control T. I was, in my mind, I was doing that. And you can do that as well. Let's look at number 6. This is probably the most missed question, I think, because 1, it's not multiple choice. A lot of kids, like, freak out. They're like, what? You didn't give us choices. So you have to know what you're doing here. Like, you got to know your stuff. All it was a fee of $8 and rides that cost $3 each. So if you think about it, $8 fee, that means you go to the carnival, they're gonna charge you $8 just to enter. But then from there, they're gonna add $3 for each one. And so each ticket is gonna be $3. Now, they give you $50. They're saying if you go to the carnival with 50, how many tickets can you buy? So we're trying to figure out what this is. We don't know how many tickets, but we know it's gonna equal to 50. And then you solve for T. See, now you've made an equation. Now you can put your skills here that I taught you on the first test. You solve for the T. And so let's see how many tickets you can buy. 50 minus the entry fee is 42, and then split it between the $3 that each ticket is, and you would have gotten 14. You could buy 14 tickets. Now, guys, if I were you, if you didn't know how to do that, like you're like, but I don't get the algebra part, then you could have said, well, 8 plus, I know they're $3 each, let me try one. Can I buy one ticket? Okay, you can buy more than one ticket, because remember, you have $50. So then I would do it again, 8 plus, and I would try times 2. Let's do times 2 tickets. Okay, I still can buy more. So again, you would just literally just trial and error, like I call it guess and check. You're guessing, checking, until you find one. And look, 14 works. 8 plus 3 times the 14 tickets. And you would have seen that that equals to 50. That's how many you could buy. So it would have taken you a while, but you would have been able to do it. Guess and check. Okay. Again, some of you are going to want to test tomorrow. It's real important that you're following along. 7 was easy. Which one is a nonlinear, guys? Which one shows not a line? Yeah. This one's not a line, right? This is a curve. This is a line. So the correct answer was A. Nonlinear is A. So if you chose A, good job. I hope everybody chose A on that one. This one was B, and really all you had to do is like read the graph. Like notice here there's an increase. Put a 9. Here it's constant. Here is a decrease. Here is an increase. Here is a decrease. Over here it would have stopped. And if you look at B, it matches perfectly. Increase. And then it says same. Okay, that's constant. And then it says slow down. There it is right there, the decrease. Sped up. Increase. I mean, it's word for word. It fits the graph perfectly. But the best thing to do is like label your graph and then see which one matches perfectly. That's how I like to do them. Like I'll look at the graph first, kind of analyze it. Number 9, all you had to do, literally take this number, which is your x, and go plug it in right there. 4 times the 5 minus the 3. What's 20 minus 3? 17. That's all you needed to do. Now, when we did this in class, I showed you could graph control T. So when we did this in class, I showed you how to double check that. Some of you hopefully did. Because honestly, they gave you the X, you're looking for the Y. And again, it was 17. So you could have graphed control T, even that one. Number 10, you had to know the difference between lines and not lines, and continuous and discrete. Continuous, remember I showed you that if you look at the letter C, that's like half a shape. So continuous means you can like use halves to represent, thirds, whatever, like fractional amounts. The D is a whole shape. So D for discrete means whole things. Like you're able to count things in wholes. And if you think about it, this is what you needed to look at. Sports teams. When we count sports teams, do we say, oh, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5? Can you have half a team? No. You either got a whole team or you don't have a whole team. So you would use whole numbers, which again means D for discrete. So look, out, out. You're down to what? B, oops, B and D, right here. So now all you had to do was graph it. I showed you how to use that spreadsheet app. You put your X, you type in your Y. I already did it, so it's in there. Sorry. And then set up your graph. There it is, it's a line, it's linear. So the answer was B. Linear discrete. Linear discrete. Please remember to be filling in this. Let me give you some time to kind of go through real quick. You need to be putting check marks on the ones you're getting right and little X's on the ones that you're getting wrong. So please make sure you're keeping up with that. Because at the end, I want you to see where you're at. Like, were you at 57%, 100%? Like, how many of those did you get right? Basically. That way you can kind of see where your weak areas are. Alright, number 11. Another graph control T one. Again, in your notes, if you're going to retest tomorrow, you really need to hone in on, look how easy this test was. A lot of them were graph control T. And the reason I'm saying control T is because those are points. They said so right there. And that means points are also represented on a table. Remember I showed you all the representations for points? Think about it. That is a point on a table. That's 4 7, 18 0. These are points. And so you could have graph control T and figure out your answer that way. So here's what you should have graph control T. Again, are your answers. The answer was C. That's the one that would have worked with those points. So again, graph control T on the star, that's a big part. A lot of questions on the stars, like, when in doubt, graph it out. It's the saying that I say every year. I tell my students, look, if you don't know what to do, try graphing it, because you might be able to figure out the answer just by looking at the graph. Nativity, let's have you read number 12 now, so we can try. Be attentive, please. Number 12. So the two keywords are what? What did I have out here? Not. And what else? Function. And that's what that you need to focus on. They want the one that was not a function. Now, we know what function means. Function means no repeated x's. So if it's not a function, then we're looking for the one that has repeated x's. And right here, this table is the only one that has those repeated x's. So this is not a function. And that's the answer. That's the one we were looking for. The one on the review is different. The one on the review wanted the one that was a function. So that was the opposite. But if you didn't see the word not, and when I see that word, I always make it super big. Like when I'm reading that, I write it really big so that my brain understands that I'm looking for not a function. Because sometimes your brain will forget what you're looking for. Once you start looking at the answers, you forget. Number 13, what is the range? Range is your Y values. Remember Dora? I showed you that the easiest way to remember this is put the word or the name Dora. It's an easy way to remember this is domain, this is your range. And they wanted raw, which is range. They wanted these values right here. And the ones that have that value is B. That was the correct answer.
What was number 12?
12 we said was C, because it was the one that had the repeated x values, and they wanted the one that was not a function. Okay. Alright, so let's look at 14. 14 is also a domain and range question.
And at 13, Miss, was A?
Yes. No. 13 was B. They wanted the range. Look what they said. They wanted raw. They wanted the range. They wanted the Y. A is the domain. You picked the wrong one if you picked A. And Giovanni just put Dora. Like when you see a mapping like that, or if you see a table, it helps you with, just put Dora. That's short for domain. The raw is short for range, and that way you know which one is which. Now here they wanted to know, like, okay, find the range. And I told you when we did the notes, I said put a Y on top of the word range, because you know that's Y. Find the Y of the following function for the given domain. Okay, domain are your X values. Those right there were your domain values. And so what that means on a table is that all of these numbers were the X's. So when you write them in your table, you're writing them here. And so what you're looking for, remember, it said find the range, you're going to find your Y number. So again, graph control T, another problem where graph control T would help you find that answer. Because again, you need to find that table. So the correct answer was D. D for was the last one. It was -10, -6, -4, and a 0. And again, graph control T would have done that for you. Already like 5 questions, graph control T. These two, again, they wanted you to solve. This is from the last test. We put it on this test because it was the most missed question from the last one. And we don't want you to forget how to do these. So we put it on this test. Again, you want to solve the M, so you should have subtracted 6M from both sides. Then bring the 4 over here by adding 4 to both sides. This is what you should have done to solve this. This adds up to a -3M. Cancel, cancel. This is 15. And then just divide it by 3. Now, I think some of you forgot to flip your symbol. When you divide, look what you're dividing by right there. You're dividing by a -3. And when you divide something by a negative, you need to remember to flip that symbol up there. So instead of going facing left, you want to flip it over, face to the right, and then that's a -5. So the correct answer was D. If you didn't choose D, that's why you got it wrong. You may not have flipped D. If you chose A, you didn't flip it. And look at B, guys. I'm sorry, C. Look at C. That's not even the right symbol. Like, I would have eliminated C because I know that that symbol and that symbol don't even, like, it's missing the little line. Like, it has to have a little line. Now, we don't know if it's going to be facing that way or that way because, again, you got to solve it first to C. But that one had the wrong symbol at the very beginning. This last one here is a proportion. And let me show you what, again, you would have had to done to solve this. And those of you who know NSolve, I don't know, I haven't shown you all NSolve. Please look at the screen. I'm going to show you something real quick. You could have used, some of you do know NSolve. You probably learned this last year at one of your classes. NSolve is when you use the first app. And you have to go to menu, and you have to go to number 3 for algebra, and it's called numerical solve. I call it for short NSolve. And NSolve allows you to solve equations, and that's what a proportion is. A proportion is an equation. So you could have actually put it in here. Control divide. You could have put your equation in here, or your proportion, because that's what it is. 2x minus 6. So, in other words, I'm showing you how you could have solved it in the calculator using that numerical solve feature. 3 over 8, okay, so 3 over 8. Before you hit enter, you're going to have to, though, remember to put a comma and the variable that's in your proportion or equation, which is an x, and then press enter. The answer was -17. So if you got -17, you got that one right. So again, you could use, and write it in your notes, menu 3-1. That's what I call it. It's called numerical solve. And we can practice that more later. I always like to see you do it by hand.
What was 14?
14, let me go back. 14 was D. So mañana, some of you can retest. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this quizzes. And actually, you can do it right now if you want. You have about 15 minutes, up to you. But what I'm going to do is I put a test in quizzes.
What's
15. One second. What was 15, guys? See? So what you can do, now the test is not going to be the same. It's not going to be these questions. But they're going to be similar. Like number 1, you're going to see one like number 1 that's talking about perimeter. You're going to see one like number 2 where you have to write an equation. You're going to see it's very similar to the way we worked out the problems today. And keep in mind that we use a lot of graph control T. Keep in mind you have to know what domain and range is, what a function is, what linear, nonlinear. Like study that in your spirals. Because that's basically what you have to know to pass this exam. Okay, so I don't know if some of you want to do this today. It's up to you. I do want you to fill in this data sheet. Let's go ahead and fill it in real quick. I guess we can spend the rest of the time on this. Let's say you got one right on domain and range. Okay, let's start with domain and range. Let's say you got one right and one wrong. So what's your percentage? 50. Okay. Let's say here you got that one wrong, right, I don't know, right. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say you got 5 right. Well, count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means you had 71%. If you only got 1 right, it would be 14%. 2 right, 3 right, 4 right, 5 right, 6 right, all 7 right, and then 0 right. That's how it works. Functions. Let's say you got 1 right, and the rest were all wrong. Well, again, 1 is 25%. 50% means you got 2 out of the 4 right, and then this is 3 right, and then I didn't write it, but here would be 100%, because you got all 4 right. So if you got all 4 right, put it next here. Now this person here, to say I got only 1 right, I only got 25%.
First we got 3 right. How much is that?
1, 2, 3, 75%. 3 out of 4 is like 3/4 is 75%. Here there's only one question. So you either got it right or you got it wrong. So like if you got it right, okay, 100% right. There's only one question there. If you didn't get it right, 0%. Same thing with the last one here. They're both 1 and 1. So if you got it right, 100%. If you got it wrong, 0%. So now let's look at the bottom. Once you do that, it says my score was. Fill in your score right here. Which what you scored right here. This is where your score goes. And count how many questions you got wrong. So like if you got a 94, you only missed 1 question. Right? And right here, if you got a 94, it says, I will or will not need to read. Well, this person will not need to retest. They made a 94. But if you failed it, circle will. You will need to retest to bring your average up. Now, the scores, these are the colors. Remember, red is you failed it. So if you made between 0 to a 59, you are in the red. So circle red if you made a score between 0 and 59. If you're in the orange, that means you scored a D, 60 to 69. If you're in the green, you were a 70 to 89, if you were in the green. Blue is for people who made A's, so that was 90 to 100. So look at where your score is. Like this person would have been blue, so you circle blue, because again, that's this score right here. Go by your score. Here, your strengths are going to be how well you did. So like let's look at mine real quick. I had 100% here. I had 71% here. That would be my strength, which would be linear equations and equations. So look at your percentages. Anything from 70 and above, those are good percentages. 20s, 14, like all these right here, low percentages. If it's a low percentage, that's a weakness. And that's what you want to put here. Put the topic. You can put the name of the topic. And then put your goal for your next test. Like set a goal for your next test. If you want to make 100 on the next test, then put that. If you want to make an A, B, C, maybe you're just happy with a C, then put a 70 there, or 75, whatever. But here, I need for you to list things that you can do better. If you failed a test, what can you do better? Oh. Efren, open the door, please. So what are things we can do to meet our goal, guys? What are things we can do better?
Study.
Study. Study what?
Math spiral.
Your spiral, your math spiral, the lessons in there that are related to this test. What else can you do? Those of you who got an A, what did you do? Like every day, what did you do? Make sure you did. Did you do your classwork and your homework? You did, right? You did all the work that I gave you. Whatever classwork I gave you, you finished it. You practiced. If I gave you homework, you did that as well. But some of you, you don't do your classwork homework, and so you don't have the practice that you need. This is super important. This gives you the practice. Think about it. Your spiral just gives you the notes, but you need to take that and practice it. And then 3, you could attend tutoring. Some of you are not doing well, you're not understanding, but you're not really doing anything to get the help you need. And so either come to tutoring or in class, ask your peers for help. I sit you in groups of 2 and 3. You guys have people in your group who are really good at math. Ask them. Instead of just sitting there and just, man, I wish I knew how to do this, find out somebody who will show you. Maybe they can show you a different way than I do. Maybe you understand them better than you do me. Then do it. So I do want you to take this and get it signed by your parents. They need to see your grade, guys. They need to see, and we do have tutoring called Raven Connection. I've been telling you that for a while. Guys, it's from 4:15 to 5. Actually, it's 5:30. I messed up on that. Please fix that, put 5:30. There is bus and snacks provided, and all you do is go to the aisle C and you report over there. They'll sign you in and so forth, and give you a snack, and then walk you to the classes. Take that and get it signed by your parents. Your parents need to know how you're doing on your test. And then bring it back tomorrow for a raffle ticket. That's how you can earn a raffle tomorrow. Just bring it back signed. Tomorrow I'll let you retest if you need to, but we're going to go on to the next chapter. Like, I'm going to have to do the next lesson, but those of you who need a retest, I'm okay with you retesting while I'm lecturing. Okay? I do need these tests back. Take the data sheet with you to get it signed by your parents, but I need your exams because I have people who have been absent that have not taken it yet, so I don't want these out there yet. So take your data sheet, and you better have a plan to discuss. Take your data sheet. You need a plan to discuss with your parents. If you failed it, like, what's your plan? Are you going to attend tutoring? Are you going to start doing your assignments? You better have a plan because they're going to want to know, well, why did you do so bad? And you need to be honest with them and say, well, I didn't really study, I didn't do my assignments, I didn't go to tutoring, and let them know that you have a plan in place, that you are going to start trying to do better. I will be calling parents this Friday. I'm going to input the test. I haven't yet. I set it up, but I haven't input it. And if you're still failing with this test grade, I'm going to need to start calling them and letting them know too. So make sure you take the data sheet.
Yes, I went to Raven Connection, Tuesday, and I did the work that you gave me.
Just turn it in, if you would, like put it in the tray. I know you enter it. You read it?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't had a chance, I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a chance these last couple of days to do any grading. We have a lot of stuff going on right now, but I'll try and do that this afternoon. If you're on track, you don't need tutoring. If you get what I'm showing you in class, then that's the thing. Like, if you get it, then you don't need to go. Maybe you just need to study next time. And some of you I know probably didn't even bother to take your spirals home for the test. And you should. At least to look over it like maybe one time before you go to bed, kind of thing, or in the morning.
I thought I did this for then the school, because I was going to study with this and I left it for this school.
Giovanni, do you have your test?
Yes.
I need your test.
No, I don't have my test. I get it too.
I got this. Oh, here it is. I got it.
Unless we could take the reading tomorrow.
The redo will be tomorrow, so let your parents know, hey, I got it. We went over it today. I think I understand what I did wrong. I'm going to retest tomorrow in class. Let us retest. It is not the same questions. I cannot give you the same questions, but it will be very similar. You're going to look at questions, and you're going to see one that looks very similar to that. I have to go in there and change numbers. I have to change the table, but what they're asking is the same. I mean, it's kind of the same. So don't study answers. That's not going to get you anywhere. That's the thing about math. Studying answers doesn't get you anywhere in math. You got to know yourself. I didn't show you your scores, how y'all did. I don't remember if y'all were, what place you were in.
Yes, you said that yesterday we were like in first and see how the other classes are doing.
Yeah, I think 7th period they'll beat you guys. Yeah. But I want to say that they still have a couple of kids who have not tested yet, so it could go down or up. Because I had a lot of absences for the test. So watch, let me show you how y'all did in comparison to other classes. All my classes did well. All my classes went up except one class. And they're the class that's very talkative. They're not always paying attention. This is how you did. So look over here. This is 7th period. Right here are the periods, like the names of the periods. The 7th period, 89%. They only had 2 people. And they were really close to passing. I think they needed one more question right. And then 2nd period, they got 82. They had 3 people not passed. 2 in the orange, 1 in the red. 3rd period, which is you guys, 78%. You had 1 person in the orange, 3 reds, but we still have 2 that need to take the test, and I don't think they showed up today. Right? Nobody went to test today, right? Okay, so, Saul, he went. So if he fails, he brought your average down. If he passed, we'll bring your average up. 6th period, they're the ones that did the highest last time. They actually were not the highest this time. They went down, actually. They were to 88 last time, now they went down to 73. But they still have 3 people who haven't tested. So if those 3 people actually do well, that average probably might go up. Not too much, but it might go up a little. 1st period did the worst, as you can see, 50%. And they're the class that don't listen, they're very talkative, there's just a lot of gossipers in there. There's a class full of girls that constantly talk about their hair and makeup and boys. That's it. Like, their mind is like totally somewhere else. So, I'm gonna have to work on that class. See what I can do. They got the same information as you did. I mean, so y'all did pretty well. I still need 2 more. You might get an 80 if those 2 can make a good grade. But right now, 7th period is in the lead. But again, I have 3 that not have tested. So were you able to put it in were you able to put in your test? Okay. So then that's probably calculated already in there. Because like if I click on this, it'll show me what 2 students have not tested. Royal was absent and Luis. And they're absent again. And I can tell you right now, I doubt Royal is going to pass. He's never here. Like, he's not here. He's not getting the lessons. He's not getting the notes. He's not practicing. So it's not going to look good for you guys. Overall, it's a 74 right now. Like as an average. I think the lowest thing was, let me see. First question, 88% right, 85, all of that looked really good. Let's see what was the most missed. That's in the 60s. Question 6. 6 and 10. Wow, that was pretty good. 6, 10, and 15. Ooh, this is the lowest. The last question. That proportion was the lowest. Alright, we'll see you. Have a good day. Take your data sheet, get them signed, bring them back for a raffle ticket.
we have to do that.